Hello, this is the TradeSite U.S. Stocks, Futures, and Forex Market Preview for the week beginning Sunday, the 28th of May, ending Friday, the 2nd of June, 2023. Just so we're clear, we are closed on Monday, the 29th for Memorial Day, so the markets are not open. Forex will be open, but Forex has been dead anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So it's a short 4-day week for the markets. We have no options expirations, no anything else. We're just trading. Um, and obviously, we're waiting on the debt ceiling issue here in the U.S., which has been kind of the biggest thing that we're all waiting for and trying to get through. But here's the dollar index daily chart. So we did go up a little bit this week, a little bit of movement finally after like a month and a half of nothing, 2 months of nothing. So we moved up, but we're still kind of in a tight range. It's not very exciting. Here's the pound dollar. Not much here. We've stair stepped down, but it's been very tight every day, and there's nothing to really. It's like back in like blue candle, white candle, blue candle. We can't do anything there. The euro dollar has been the inverse of the dollar index. It's moved a little bit better, honestly, than the pound, which is fine. The pound yen, on the other hand, has broken out. Nice cup and handle formation, broken out to new highs on Friday alone. So it is what it is. All right, let's get to the stock market side. Now, there's a cup and handle here, and this is interesting. Like, you've got a nice breakout point over 42.50. Obviously, we've got debt ceiling issues here in the U.S. If we don't get the raise of the debt ceiling, then we're going to have a problem. And that'll be negative for the market. If we can get a resolution to that, then obviously it's positive for the market, and we will see what happens there. But there's a nice cup and handle, double cup and handle here on the ES from futures contracts over 42.50 or 42, yeah, 42.50. S&P cash also looking like a kind of a cup and handle, and could break out here. Obviously, it's a nice pattern, but again, when you understand that this is not just a single stock, it's a fundamental play, you have to understand that there's an issue if we have problems with the debt ceiling stuff. So we'll see what happens there. NASDAQ 100 broke out to new highs this week for the last year. So it's whatever, it is what it is. I mean, it's not quite where we need it to be, but it's been an interesting week for the NASDAQ. The Russell 2000, on the other hand, nowhere. Still near the lows of the year. Crude oil, 72.67. Not near the highs at any level, and it is what it is. Gold's down because it was on the highs a month ago, but that's down over 100 points basically since then. Bitcoin, 26,837. That's off the highs at 31,000 or so, but it's still back up from the 16,000 level. You got a 12 count here. You can't get to 13 unless you're above the 8. The 8's going to be much higher, so you have to get. I would say it's a flat count from my perspective. So I wouldn't worry about that. TLT, the 20-year bond ETF, sitting, so rates down, bonds down, rates higher, right? So we're at 101 and 9 cents. The VIX down to 1795, which is interesting. The advanced decline ratio on the NASDAQ was positive on the New York. It was positive 1131 on Friday. Trend closes at 0.94, puts the 10-day moving average where it belongs, which is not a big deal. ES from a futures contract. This is the weekly 5-minute chart. So we closed where we opened for the week. Monday was flat, Tuesday was down, Wednesday gap down to flat, Thursday gap up a little bit, Friday we gap up and go, and we end up closing about where we started. So the whole week was kind of a wash from that perspective. There's nothing here. NASDAQ, on the other hand, was a little bit higher. Here's the NASDAQ futures. Closed higher than it started. Apple, new closing high on Apple for the year. Amazon, also a new closing high. Meta, also a new closing high. Google, sure, like almost near a new closing high. Goldman Sachs, not close. It's in the lower half of the range for the year, but it still was up the last 2 days, as was everything. Netflix, new closing high for the year. Tesla, not at new highs, but also, higher in the top half of the range. NVIDIA gapped up big. This was the thing. So NVIDIA had great earnings, and they just killed it on Thursday, and this gapped up the market. And so even though there were way more stocks, this is what you have to watch out for, way more stocks down than up on Thursday. Like the market was selling off, but because NVIDIA was up, the Nasdaq was up huge, and so was the S&P a little bit. So this is just how it works, right? You have to be available to understand that sometimes they hide what's actually going on in the markets, and the Nvidia update was their chance to sell, and nobody was paying attention. Zoom, on the other hand, near lows for the year. So that is pretty much what we saw in the markets this week. Not much else to talk about there. It's been an interesting week for sure. In terms of economic data, what I would say is this. We've got bank holiday on Monday. Like I said, everybody's closed, so it doesn't really matter. Go to Tuesday. We've got the housing price index here in the U.S. at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Consumer confidence at 10. Retail sales at 750. Out of Japan. CPI out of Australia. We've got retail sales out of Switzerland going into Wednesday. Chicago PMI 9:45 a.m. Eastern Time on Wednesday. A couple of Fed members speaking. We've got the Beige Book here in the U.S. at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Thursday, so nothing there so far. Thursday, U.S. numbers, nothing. Challenger job cuts at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Time. ADP non-farm employment change at 8:15. The initial and continuing jobless claims numbers at 8:30. That's a weekly number. Revised non-farm payroll productivity. Final manufacturing PMI, ISM manufacturing PMI, ISM manufacturing prices. That's at 10 a.m. on Thursday here in the U.S. Ward's total vehicle sales at some point during the day. Natty gas at 10:30. Crude oil inventories at 11, and that's because we have the holiday, so we have to jump a day. Overseas trade index out of New Zealand. And then Friday, nothing really except for the unemployment rate, which is kind of a big deal, non-farm employment change. So it'll be half size and 4x ahead of that number, and that is the week ahead. Charts as usual brought to you by eSignal. No, NinjaTrader. If you've not yet taken trial of our services, feel free to do so. We will help you out for a couple weeks. Have a great trading week.